225 years use of the exercise of the power of Commander-in-Chief.
I gave in my opening statement, Senator, examples where President Washington, President Lincoln, President Wilson, President Roosevelt have all authorized electronic surveillance of the enemy on a far broader scale, without any kind of probable cause. I gave in my opening statement, Senator, examples where President Washington. I gave in my opening statement, Senator, examples where President Washington, President Lincoln, President Wilson, President Roosevelt have all authorized electronic surveillance of the enemy on a far broader scale, without any kind of probable cause.
Let me take up this habeas corpus issue very briefly. Where you have the Constitution having an explicit provision that the writ of habeas corpus cannot be suspended except rebellion or invasion, and you have the Supreme Court saying that habeas corpus rights apply to Guantanamo detainees, aliens in Guantanamo, after an elaborate discussion as to why, how can there be a statutory taking of habeas corpus when there's an express constitutional provision that it can't be suspended and an explicit Supreme Court holding that it applies to Guantanamo alien detainees?
A couple of things, Senator. I believe that the Supreme Court case you're referring to dealt only with the statutory right to habeas, not the constitutional right to habeas.
Well, you're not right about that. It's plain on its face. They're talking about the constitutional right to habeas corpus. They talk about habeas corpus being guaranteed by the Constitution except in cases of invasion or rebellion. And they talk about John at Runnymede and the Magna Carta and the doctrine being embedded in the Constitution.
Well, sir, the fact that they may have talked about the constitutional right to habeas doesn't mean that the decision dealt with the constitutional right to habeas.
When did you last read the case?
It has been a while, but I'd be happy to go back. I will go back and look at it.
Yesterday and this morning again.
I will go back and look at it. The fact that the Constitution, again, there's no express grant of habeas in the Constitution. There's a prohibition against taking it away. The fact that the Constitution, again, there's no express grant of habeas in the Constitution. There's a prohibition against taking it away. But it's never been the case. I'm not aware of a Supreme Court.
No, wait a minute. The Constitution says you can't take it away except in case of rebellion or invasion. Doesn't that mean you have the right of habeas corpus unless there's an invasion or rebellion?
I meant by that comment, the Constitution doesn't say every individual in the United States or every citizen is hereby granted or assured the right to habeas. It doesn't say that. It simply says the right of habeas corpus shall not be suspended except by...
You may be treading on your interdiction and violating common sense, Mr. Attorney.
So that I want to make one thing very clear in this habeas corpus.
Sir, your mic? I can't hear you.
I want to make one thing very clear in the habeas corpus, and we can go back and forth on what the case held or anything else. I feel that the Congress of the United States and the administration made a horrible mistake last year in a very short period of time and debate, basically undercut the writ of habeas corpus, the great writ. There were those who talked about 9/11 and why they were doing it. I talked about the year 1200 and 15, I believe it was, when it first came into our concept. But the great writ of habeas corpus was done horrible damage by the Congress and a law the President signed last year. I just want to put everybody on notice. As chairman of this committee, I will do everything possible to restore all the rights under the writ of habeas corpus that were there before we passed the legislation we did, legislation I voted against. I'll make every effort to restore it. I just want everybody to know that. Now, I'd like to have allies in that